Hi, my name is Yusef, and I have Samira on the other line. We're both co-founders of Hyphens and Spaces, a diversity, equity, and inclusion company. In today's episode, Samira and I will be discussing what do you do when your coworkers are burnt out about, DEI work. For example, some people in organizations that are saying that, they want to have, staff meeting because of the recent verdict. But then there are others that are saying that they don't want to really talk about their feelings anymore. They feel exhausted. So yeah, let's kind of like dive into your thoughts about, about this.
Yeah, let's dig in. I hear that, to be honest. I'm exhausted. You know what I mean? I think there's to some extent we probably all are, right? We're still battling and struggling with a global pandemic, right? We're still in the middle of COVID. There's still, different ways of working and interacting with people. There's a lot. That's all I'm saying. That and, violence against Black people that is perpetuated by the police or other state-sanctioned actors. It's as old as America is, right? And to have a public forum every time that is shared in the news it can feel exhausting for people who have found other ways to cope with this. Particularly those who have been coping with these emotions all of their lives, right? So, and then for others in workplaces, this has become their way to process what's going on, right? So they've built community in their workplace, and their workplace community might be the most diverse community in their lives. And so this is the best for them. That made me feel like the best forum to have these conversations. So I think the kind of one way to really think about approaching this is to offer spaces to those who need it. Some people need quiet and alone time. Some people don't want to be asked anything. Other people need to be like, need to have some space to engage and be checked and want to be checked in on, right? So inclusive environments are really those that make space for different ways of being. And I think it's more important in an organization to establish what people can really rely on the organization for. Like, this is a workplace, right? It's not a family unit. It's not like a personal development seminar or therapy or any of those other things. So it doesn't have to be everything for everyone, but it works out for the organization if it's able to facilitate, meaning like ease the way for people to get their needs met. So you can consider, what do we have the capacity to do as an organization? What's a values aligned approach, right? That means like maybe what we have the capacity to do is offer a voluntary forum where people can opt in. Or what we have the capacity to do is also flexible working. So if people are feeling like, my head is not in it, I'm really emotionally touched by what's happening, I just need to take some time, then you can allow for that, right? Or you can provide external resources. So really it's about thinking about what our capacity is and then facilitating opportunities for people to get their needs met.
Okay. Yeah, I also want to like touch on the other side of it, like when like leadership, or you have a CEO of an organization that's like blatantly don't care about DEI and are saying like, this work is not important right now and they don't want to do anything about it at all. Like, what do we have to say for those guys, those folks?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is like a constant question. It doesn't actually matter what time we're in. I think, kind of is striving for this alignment with leadership and wanting leadership to focus on these conversations has been a constant strive for folks in organizations that have been doing DEI work from the very beginning. And I think I've seen this happen more recently in two primary ways. So it could be that like leaders have committed to something, say 2 years ago, they said, yes, we want to lean into DEI and we want to make this a part of our work and make this a part of our culture and so forth. But then it didn't follow through, right? that and like 2 years later, nothing has changed, right? Or it could also happen where leaders don't stand up and commit at all. Like there is like just straight up resistance to this work. And then there might be like the guise of, we want to remain neutral, or we want to keep the status quo, or like that, right? But in either case, the fact is that leaders help establish and maintain the organizational values, which filter into the culture. And so whether these are like espoused values, meaning what we say the values are, or enacted values, meaning what we actually do. In either case, they're communicating what they believe the organization should stand for. And you may be able to have influence over that by tapping in, like you as an individual employee, by tapping into DEI champions, meaning other people that you know have the listening in the ear of the leadership team that can kind of advocate for this work and deliver the importance. It also helps to have data that is about data, not only like external data about the importance of this work overall, but internal data about how what people are feeling in the organization right now and how that's impacting their work. Or it could also just be like naming that we're out of integrity with our values. Like we say we value people, or we say we value inclusion, or we say we value, being in great service and integrity, and that's missing here, right? So there's ways to influence that conversation, just kind of in the means of like creating alignment. Also, accountability measures that are internal could also include like your HR, your manager, the board, like these individuals that might have influence in the organization. And if there's no internal influence, then you might consider external influence, right? Maybe there's like people use Glassdoor to share their feedback in a more anonymous, forum. And there's other tools like that as well. So but I think on the more personal note, it's really about deciding on your individual threshold
100%
for this work, right? Like, you were hired to do a job. You were contracted to carry out the work in your job description. And, as important as clearly I believe DEI work is, you might need to make a choice about where you want to focus your energy in order to kind of stay aligned with your own personal values. And if it feels like, hey, I can work on this particular way to demonstrate my my commitment to inclusion and make sure that my team is okay, or working kind of more of a minimized role in that, fine. Or if it's like, no, it's all or nothing, then you might decide you want to have an exit strategy, right? If you can't, make the influence that you want.
I mean, hearing what you said, I also wanted to touch on, there's also people in organizations who feel, people who are most affected by their identity being asked to lead these conversations in DEI, or to be to become DEI experts.
Don't do that. Don't ask people who bear the brunt of the impact of, of what's happening in our society and our criminal justice system and, all over. Don't ask those folks to bear the brunt of also carrying the load of supporting others through it. This, not everybody, because they are from a marginalized group, or hold a marginalized identity, that does not mean that they are DEI experts. Does not even mean that they want to engage in this conversation at work. And again, it's still it's something that the organization commits to, because of that's the environment that you want to create for everyone. So it's really, I think, about recognizing, being invitational. For if I'm thinking about from the perspective of an organization, it's being invitational and saying hey, we want to have this conversation and we want to make sure we have people of different backgrounds involved in it. See who shows up. And if nobody shows up, you might want to consider hiring somebody externally, like
Yeah.
a professional to actually, move through these conversations together, or training up some people who are interested in leading those conversations.
Yeah.
Doing that, right? So you've got options, but I wouldn't task that with people who are most affected by the identity, but I would invite that participation.
Yeah, 100%.
And also compensate it, by the way. Like DEI work is real work, right? And we're asking people to take it on and to do more, then we should be compensating those people for that time and effort.
Totally. Yeah. Well, all right. Awesome. That wraps up episode 2 and this conversation. Thank you once again for joining us, and we look forward to doing the next one.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Hi, everybody.